I'm Candi Marie.
And I'm Mena Diaz, and welcome to the Moving Up Together podcast.
One stereotype about people who don't have a lot of money is that they don't know how to manage their money. That if they just learn how to budget and stop spending on quote unquote unfrivolous things, that they'd somehow increase their incomes, build up their bank accounts, and magically move into the middle class.
It's all just a bunch of hocus pocus, right? But you know what is magic is the way that people with limited incomes can stretch their funds, making a dollar out of 15 cents, plus the creative ways that they help others in their community.
Absolutely, Mena. And with us today to talk more about this topic are Nilmetria Loper and Man Forward. Nilmetria, who also goes by Angel, is a mother of 9 and lives in Detroit. She provides resources to other mothers in her community through her outreach initiative called Angel is Here. Man Forward is a former chef turned artist. He's originally from Chicago, but now lives in Seattle, where he's involved in entrepreneurship and activism. Thank you both so much for joining us today. How y'all doing? How y'all feeling?
I'm good. Thank you for having me again. I appreciate it to be able to be in this space.
Yeah, I'm doing well. Everything is
I
great.
love it. I love it. I love it. See, that's the energy. That's what we're talking about. We gave you a brief intro and we'll dive into their stories a little later. But what I want to know is what's one fun fact that the people should know about the both of you? Let's start with Man Forward.
Oh, a really good fun fact about me is that I have a dog named Bruno, and he's the most awesome, sunshiny like dog that ever existed. And he's made me a grandpup dad. So very soon I
Okay,
shall have
wait.
some grandpuppies.
A grandpup dad? Okay,
Yeah,
that's adorable.
yeah, yeah.
That's a whole new thing.
Yeah, right.
I love
so,
it.
so
Okay,
I'm
so
excited.
Man Forward is a grandpup dad. I love it. And how about you, Angel? Tell us a fun fact that people should know about you.
A fun fact about me is I'm only 4'9", right? But like you would think I'm 7 feet tall. Like my energy and just um my will is like the heart of a lion. And so to me, people be really surprised. I come off as quiet and like laid back, but when I'm passionate about something, and you'll be like, who is that person? Where did she come from?
Your basically your power is felt. That's what she's saying, Minna. Her power is felt.
It's the
She
Thank
gonna
you
stand
angel.
there.
for
You
the
gonna
It's
see
small
her.
fact.
it's her. It's not me. It's her.
All right, I'll take it. I'll take it.
Yeah. All right. So, Angel, real quick, I wanna switch to you for a second. You're a mother of 9. Can you tell us about a moment in time that you had a hard time making ends meet, and what did you do? What was that situation, and what did you do in order to basically stretch that dollar and make sure that your family was taken care of? Do you remember a time?
I remember plenty of times. The first time I had to go to a soup kitchen, being a victim of domestic violence, living in a new community, new neighborhood, um, really didn't have any support system. It was just me and my children. Um, to be able to pay the rent or purchase food
Mhm.
um, was something that I would have to deal with like every day to make a choice, like what I was going to do, with the money that I had. So in order to stretch the money that I know that I needed, because I just had got the place, I needed to be safe. I needed to have shelter. I would go to the soup kitchens that
Mhm.
other parents in the community told me about, um, which was very humbling. But I was then able to save that money. Instead of buying fast food, I wasn't getting food stamps yet. I had to start all over. This was a new beginning for me, so I wasn't on any system yet.
Yeah.
But I was able to stretch my money to be able to buy the things we needed and be able to pay my rent, DTE, the water bill. But going there every day, you could go for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and being with other families. That really helped me to be able to not end up homeless again. being able to save, that money, the amount that I would have spent if I had decided to do something else.
Sure. And that's a scary situation. I mean, going from a domestic violence, I would assume that you left everything behind, basically. That's what you had
Everything.
to do.
I didn't take one suitcase. I didn't take anything. I went straight to the police station. Just me and my children. And they took us to the shelter, which then paid for us a home in
Mhm.
another area, a whole nother space where I didn't know anybody. And I had to leave my like cousins and friends um to provide safety for me and my children. And so the shelter did their part. They paid for me new house and they relocated us. But after that, they do a little aftercare, but then you're on your own in its new space, in its new community. And if you don't have, I wasn't working at the time, I had just had a baby. So if you don't have those financial resources, you're kind of left on your own, right? You have to kind of navigate it and figure it out. Um, and so being in that community and just humbling myself and saying, Lord, I have to be able to ask for help, which is something very hard for me to do. Um, because sometimes it's a shame attached to asking for help. It's like a stigma. Sometime in our community, we'll suffer so much. Like, I'm not asking anybody for anything, but I had to take myself out of it and think about my children. And did I want to be in a situation where I was homeless or have to go back to him?
Right.
Um, I had to humble myself and say, I need to figure out another way to be able to take care of us and pay our bills and really be able to get on my feet and thrive. So I needed some other resources to be able to do that.
Okay. And man, what about you? Do you remember a time when, you had to stretch that dollar out?
Oh, absolutely. There was one time when I was a chef and I was doing a community event, and I very much did it at the lowest price that I could for their budget. And I just remember being in the grocery store, specifically not buying pre-made items, and pre-chopped onions or peppers or things that are already packaged to go, um, and just doing it on my own. So I remember buying a big 25-pound bag of flour to make buns. I just had to make burgers and dogs and stuff like that. And I just remember making hamburger buns on my own because I knew if I bought about 40 packs of hamburger buns, that was going to bust my budget. But I just remember oh, flour is cheap, add some water, yeast, and just I had to do the labor part of it. So being a chef taught me a lot of how to pretty much do things from scratch in order to make a profit, even when I'm doing it on a budget. So that was one time I specifically remember that I was just oh, let me make these hamburger buns. Let me buy some whole onions, some whole peppers, and just do the labor. And that
Mhm.
way I can still turn a profit instead of just saying, oh, I busted my budget and you all are going to get a quarter of what your attendance is going to be. So that's one time I remember.
Wow, and I appreciate you both for pulling from your own personal experiences. And I think that's something that Mena and I can definitely also relate to, and some of our listeners that are listening as we speak. Tell me about a time when you've seen others within your community be creative and stretch a dollar as well. Because just like hearing, you, Angel, mention the soup kitchen, and then you also, Man Forward, mentioned, learning how to create buns. Let's kind of shift the conversation a little bit, because we've also heard words like shame and humble, and I think a lot of those things that we've had to do, you're already humbled, right? You're already feeling shame, but I think there's also shock attached to that. But I think that's also what makes us these creative individuals, is pulling from a creative place where we're like, this is all I have, this is all I got, and I'm going to work with what I got. So what are some other
Hmm.
people and some other things that you've seen do the same thing that was like, yo, that's actually really creative? Like, I love what they did there, but they made it work. Let's start with you, Angel.
Oh my goodness. It was I, I'm I'm really thinking about her right now just because a senior in my community, right, in the area where I live, she been selling dinners. Like she just a
Yeah.
senior in the community, and like she's the on the block club, she's a community person. So she started to make ends meet because she's on a fixed income. She started selling dinners, right? And so then she developed this little pink shed, and it was on the news, 2, 4, and 7. And I can't think of the name of her little kitchen, but then they shut her down. But that's how um such a creative way to use what you already know how to do. She
Yeah.
already cook with love. She is like famous in Detroit, like for her meals and everything. And so then, to be able to sell them only for $6 when they should cost, her meals should cost $15 and up. But she would feed the people who couldn't pay the $6 for the full dinner and everything, and made her a little mini kitchen in her yard. It was just the most creative thing for her to be a senior to say, you know what, I can do this. I can develop me a business. I'm on a fixed income, and this will really, really help my budget. So that was creative. That was innovative. Even though she got shut down, they just didn't want her to be great. I don't understand why they did that to her. Again, these systems, right?
Mhm.
But when I think about her, like, she gave me some ideas of some things. I started my daughter a baking business because of that. Like, oh, wait a minute, you know how to bake good? She like, I want a baking business. And so just looking at people like that in my community, um, really using what they already have.
Because we didn't have a choice. We have to. We don't have a choice. Leaning on our community and using what we already have. Thank you, Angel.
Yes.
I agree. How about you, Man Forward? Tell us about a time where you've seen someone in your community do something creative where they've had to stretch a dollar.
Hey, I had a friend who had a baby, and she just taught herself how to paint, and that was one of the most miraculous things I've ever saw because she was dealing with like postpartum, and that was
Mhm.
one of her ways of like dealing with the pregnancy, being a new mom, and everything. She taught herself how to paint, and for me that was astounding because at first I was like, okay, you're just learning how to paint. But it turned out that she had talent. Like it was just like really dope. And then over the course of like maybe 3 to 4 years of watching her and her child grow up and everything like that, her business just began to boom, and she started doing like painting parties, and she started doing like full murals in the community and everything
Wow.
like that. And then she opened up her own art gallery. So just in a span of knowing this person for like 3 to 4 years and her just being a self-starter with painting, and then to have like an immaculate business in the end of like selling pieces, selling murals, selling tapestries, all that sort of stuff, and just coming out of her soul, I was like, wow. So, and like, there we go.
Isn't it cool how we can turn pain into power? How
I
we
was
can
Mhm.
just
turn
my words
pain
exactly.
into positivity, how we can turn oh my goodness, so many great
Mm.
words, so many seeds that we've had to plant that have manifested and turned into gardens. I love
And I'm listening intently because I like ideas. Yeah, I like ideas. Because I mean, if you really think about it, there's nothing original under the sun. It's somehow some form of whatever it is has already been done. So why not learn, right? Why not take that up and learn how to paint? Learn how to start a baking business or just bake and then turn that into a business. So I love that. So switching over to people who look at Black and brown communities and communities of color in general, that we don't know how to manage our money, right? That's why we stay at a certain income level. What do you say to people who believe that stereotype that basically if people manage their money better, they would have more money? Man Forward, let's start with you. What would you say to someone who believes that stereotype?
So what I would say is kind of like a little bit of what Angel like hit on is like systems and institutions are definitely like harming what's going on in like our communities. Specifically, like historically, like when you look at redlining and like the civil rights movement and stuff like that, like a lot of people move from the South, being sharecroppers or even managing their own farms and stuff like that, to then come to the North or these neighborhoods where they were just like excluded from veteran home loans and all that sort of stuff by this practice of redlining. And to have to do like the mental gymnastics to get over something that's like institutionally prescribed is where I kind of want to talk about is that it's nothing to really say besides those people just need to stop using it as an excuse. Stop making like as if like Black people or people that come from impoverished communities don't know how to manage money. When one thing that I can specifically say outside of redlining is everyday eating. People specifically take their money, go to a grocery store in an entire different neighborhood, and like pay money into like that tax bracket or those like businesses in which they can just do it in their community. But then you have so many stigmas of violence, thievery, and all that sort of stuff that will prohibit a big business from investing in a community when these people every single day get on the bus, train, drive to an entire different neighborhood and then add to that neighborhood's revenue, all while they don't have any sort of like, I guess, like data to show that, hey, we're really spending this money somewhere else where we can be spending on neighborhood. So it's for those people who have this stigma about mismanagement of money or financial literacy being the main culprit of why like people haven't succeeded. No, it's just the systems and institutions that spend all their time with age-old data that's very racist in nature to and makes them not invest. And I can just think of like specifically just like the entertainment industry, how black people have for so long like created all these different genres of music and everything like that. And it's always like heaped back on black people that, oh, you can't manage yourselves or you need someone to manage you. But then when you look at like 1960 when Motown started, that was a multi-million-dollar business in the first year of just selling records. And these are black people owning, operating this and like empowering their community. So I feel as though, yes, we definitely should get back to ownership, but also I don't really have words outside of the people who believe that should just read a book, get over it, like find some different avenue to update their thinking because the systems and the methods before are just they're outdated.
Sure. Read a book. I like that.
Yeah, true.
Angel, what about you? What would you say to someone that has that stereotype?
I just really feel like folks who think that, first of all, you have to be able to have the opportunity to be able to earn, right? Equity. You have to be able to have a start on a level playing field, being able to earn and educate yourself, educate your family in order to be able to have that income that you say, I don't know how to manage, right? Given a fair wage, given a fair chance, given uh, childcare, given all the things that you have, um, give it to me and you'll see what I'll do with it, right? And so, just like Manford was saying, all of these systems were built for us not to be able to thrive, right? Like if you get food stamps right now, they're going to give you just enough for your family. Is not half the time you really don't even have enough for the end of the month. So the system is not set up for you to be okay and just be relaxed and just live your best life on these systems, on this welfare, right? You could barely pay your bills. You struggling. But then I say, well, I would like to go to school. Can I have childcare? Well, no, we're not going to pay for you to childcare for you to go to school. Well, how can I get a decent job if I can't go to school? So again, just the barriers, the red tape, the rigmarole, the BS of what it takes for families like mine to be able to get a foot in the door um, is intentional, I feel like. And so give me the same resources that you got, honey. Give me the same opportunity that you have. Give me the same resources that you have. And we'll see if you feel that way after.
Facts.
Okay, y'all are over here dropping knowledge over here, gems, and I'm over here like, okay. So with that being said, with everything that you guys are saying, I definitely agree with a lot of what you're recommending, and I think that I want to see you guys drop some more knowledge on our listeners right now. What's one money lesson that they can learn from each of you? We're gonna start with you, man forward.
Whoa. I don't know. The financial literacy that I've learned, um, it's so much. So I think I can start off with one thing that I always do whenever I have an idea is I start an LLC, and I know that it could be like daunting as a task, but one thing that I can just give for free advice is starting an LLC is pretty simple. And when I say it's pretty simple, you don't need like a physical ID to show up and like register a business. So for anyone who has had trouble such as felonies or anything like that, a really cool way to start an LLC is to like go to Secretary of State, fill out this form. It's different in each state, and then pay like $150 to like up to $500, and start a way to like generate income for yourself. And the thing about generating an income for yourself is that there is no red tape, or no one has to know that you have a felony, or you have all these sort of things that are harboring you. This business entity is an entirely different entity that's pretty much scot free. That people can pay you for your services, or you can have an account to like deposit money. It's easier to get like a business bank account, like that doesn't like check your like personal credit and all that sort of stuff. So if you have all these personal loopholes that like a social security is number is attached to, if you start an LLC for $150, a free EIN number, and take that to a bank, here you are in a whole new category of like, hey, I have a bank account now. So here's a routing number and accounting number for invoices and stuff like that. So it just puts you on a different like foot than trying to go the route that's like systematically bars you. Because in a lot of communities, they are unbanked, and that's where kind of cryptocurrencies have come in and kind of changed that. I know like internationally, cryptocurrencies have provide opportunities for like the unbanked people to have an ability to like trade. But I know LLC is just one key thing, and another thing is just use credit wisely. That's I know that sounds like standard, but using credit wisely gets you more credit, and that's just the way it kind of goes. And I don't understand it all the time, but I know that like for me, having a secured credit card is very good for me, is because I'm able to add the money that I want to use and spend versus having an unlimited balance and going into the negative more quickly and having like an APR like swallow me whole. So it's really cool. Like so LLC and the secured credit card will start to like put everything in motion for the financial tips that you need. So that's the reason why I can't give like individual, like a specified plan for anybody. But
Right.
an LLC will allow you to have an entire different business entity, regardless what your background is, established. There's no identification required for you to show up or say like I am this. You're an illegal entity. I mean, you're a legal entity. And then getting a secured credit card where it reports to the credit bureaus, and you're only spending the money that you have. And those are two secure ways to like build credit or be out here legitimately and be about your business.
I'm so glad you said that and you broke it down the way that you did, because a lot of times we hear things like LLC or we hear things like credit, especially within our communities, and it's scary, right?
Mhm.
Especially when you don't come from money and nobody in your family has ever had a LLC or even had a bank account. Like, let's be real, right? I don't know a lot of people in my family that even have a bank account. Like, I had to encourage all my siblings, legit, all my siblings to get a bank account
Mhm.
because again, we're afraid of the systems that have come before us because we've heard the horror stories. We've also heard, what has been passed down to us. So we have to educate each other and let each other know, look, it's not that bad, just try it out. It's just like when I go to a restaurant, I have to persuade my sister not to get chicken fingers because she's like, look, this is what I'm used to, this is what I want. And I'm like, sis, well, why don't you try the salmon? Let's just try it, see if
Mhm.
you like it. But again, we just got to take it one step at a time. So thank you for laying that out nicely and plainly, for some of our listeners, because what we don't know, sometimes we don't know until somebody introduces us. And Angel, so thank you for that good point. How about you? Let us know, what is a money lesson that our listeners can learn from you?
I'ma just say this, that I'm a mother, and so I think about things in like a different aspect, right? And so in order to get a financial mindset, you first have to change your everyday mindset, right? Like
Mm,
change starts with your thinking.
come
You the
on.
sum of the five people you be around. So whoever you be around every day, you are the sum of those five individuals. So if you're around five individuals that's not doing nothing, that's not getting nothing, that has a woe is me spirit, and I'm not gonna do anything better than I already am doing. That's the kind of energy you gonna flow with, right? So for me, it's really about mindset. You can't get to this level until you change these things
Woo.
about your situation. So for me, if I wake up and say, It's going to be an amazing day. I don't care if my car was down, my baby was sick. In Jesus' name, she's healed. Guess what? I can go to work because I got to ride. I get to do these things. If perspective is everything. And until you start changing your thinking about your situation, and it could be a bad situation. I'm not in the best situation still financially, and I have a job. But at the same time, I get to go to work. I get to do what I'm passionate about. I get to let my children see me be strong and whole. I get to do these things, not like, oh my God, I gotta go do this. So it's a perspective is everything. And how you wake up in the morning, how you choose to wake up and switch your thinking. See, we gotta unlearn all that mess. We have to unlearn it. And if you don't speak to yourself every day and speak some life into yourself, into your babies, into your community, ain't nothing gonna change. You can't get to the LLC and everything if your thinking still messed up. If your thinking and your process is what you do every morning before the sunrise, what you do right then, if you say your affirmations, if you journal, if you say a quick prayer, whatever it is that you put out into the atmosphere, that's what it's going to be. Right. So you surround yourself with good people. You surround yourself with people who know more than you. I don't want to be around the dummies that I know more than. I want to be around some people that know more than me, some
Come
people that's
on,
doing more than
Angel.
me. I want to be around some mothers that's so powerful that I feed off their energy to do better for my kids. So that's where I am with it. So before you get to the LLCs and the businesses and everything, you got to change about how you wake up in the morning. So once you can change that and your mindset and the direction you want to go in for that day, I don't care what done happen to you that day. If you still breathing, you got a chance to change it. You got a chance to do one thing for yourself on that day that's gonna make your life better for you and your kids. See, I think about it real different. I just do. And I'm not saying that I'm right. I'm saying for me, that's right. And that's what I try to give other mothers, like some, you have all the power in your hand to change your life. Ain't nobody coming to save you. What you gonna do every day? I don't care if it's that one thing. If you write your affirmations, if you manifest like today is gonna be amazing. I'm gonna get a promotion at my job today. I just got a promotion last week. I've been saying it all year.
Come on.
That's the truth.
Come
What
on,
I say my life
promotion.
is gonna be is that's what it's gonna be. If I say, well, you know what, tomorrow I got class for my GED because I am in class for my GED. I'm about to be 50. What I say I want for my life and for my children's life is what it is. And until you change your thinking and the way you do things and the way you move and the way you shift in the world, nothing is going to change. You can't get to the businesses. You can't get to the money. You can't get to the financial freedom. You can't get to all of those things until you do something. When God wake you up every day, be intentional about how you're going to start your day, no matter what life throws at you.
Cool.
That's it. I don't have nothing else.
Listen here, Mena. We asked for a lesson. We got a dissertation. That's what I'm talking
Because
about.
I mean every word. I mean every word.
Angel, can I just tell you for a second? I heard my mother coming through your voice. Like I just heard my mom come through her because my mom would say the same thing to me.
Absolutely.
And we hear this a lot, as girls. No one's coming to save you.
No one.
It's up to you to save you.
Yep.
I don't care about, okay, it's the systems and everything, but what am I going to do about it?
Yeah.
Right. How far am I willing to go to educate myself? I do it in a backwards way, right? I take all the trainings and all the certifications. I don't have a formal education, but I educate myself in other ways. And my life experience is my education, right? And so I just think about me not having an education. I just think about it differently. And my education is more valuable than a master's degree on any given Sunday.
Hey.
That's how I feel.
Woo, you change your
And
mind.
those thoughts will those are the things that are propelling me towards freedom, finances, and everything else is coming with it. It's coming.
Yeah. And
I'm
those
gonna give you an update.
And those individual mantras or journaling or whatever it is that you do, you're right. You're absolutely right. If we don't start changing our own individual mindset, then we can't start either. We can't move forward, and then we also can't be an influence within our communities. So
to other folks,
right,
to other people. If you don't believe in yourself, how you gonna get this mama that's feeling like she want to die to believe in herself and that she can make it to tomorrow and that you can believe in yourself? And you, the great I am, says that you are more than the sum of what you are right now. Your experiences don't define you. Your past does not define you, any of that. Who you are right now, at this very second, right now. And I'm so full of love. I'm so full of God. I'm so full of my community. I'm so full of just joy right now when I have nothing.
Thank
If you
you.
don't have that for yourself and that thought process about how loved you are in this world, how can I help other people to feel that?
Hmm. Right. And speaking
It
of
has nothing to
definition,
do with what I have that's tangible right now.
mhm.
Nothing.
And speaking of definition, Angel, help me answer this question where people define your community, right? As different things. People define community as different things. How would you define your community?
I define my community as resilient. My community is a mass of up and comers, of overcomers. My community is powerful. My community, the folks in my community are thought provoking. They affect change, whether it's my little block club. My block club leader, like 89 years old,
Oh,
right? But he still have a will to save his community, to care about the families in his community, right? That don't go away. Once it's embedded in you, it don't go away, and it's infectious, right? And so that's how I see my community, and it just makes me want to continue because I'm gonna be 89 doing the same thing. I could see that for myself. Him and his little wife. They inspire me so much. About who you think would inspire me, they inspire me. You know, they done been through, can't they gotta stand at the black and white, you know, they can't go in through that door. If they've been
mhm,
through the hard stuff, what we going through ain't nothing. They done been through that. And so to see them still doing the same things and uplifting and empowering, like that's where I want to be. That's the goal, right?
That was felt.
mhm.
That was felt.
And man, what about you? How do you define your community?
I'll use a word: achievers. Achievers.
Okay.
Like just as Angel said, resilient achievers. Like I know we all have the. I know we all want to be in a space where we have like total liberation, but every day a lot of people get up and do what they need to do to just achieve and thrive for themselves and like tap into their imagination and the things that they want. And like Angel was saying, like putting manifestation into action, like writing
Mhm,
it down, believing it, saying your mantras. All of that is the currency of thought. And I feel like when you have a currency of thought, you just become an achiever. And it's not to say it's just like simple like that, but once you tap into the imagination of things that you see that are not there yet, they become. So, yeah.
You live as though they already are,
Yep.
right?
Exactly.
I
Yeah.
lived my life like those things have already happened because
Facts.
I believe they will.
Hmm.
And if I don't believe, how my daughters gonna believe? I got 6
Mhm.
daughters. How they gonna believe?
Because they're always watching.
They always watching.
They
They
always
looking
watch.
what mama is gonna do. Mama, what class you finna go to? Mama, you finna go to your other job. Yep. I will see y'all when I get home. Can you bring some food? Yep. Don't be
Facts.
too tired to cook. If they don't see me believing in myself, even when it get hard, I do it scared. I do it lonely. I do it afraid. I do it just don't even know how I'm gonna do it. But I just know what God speak to my spirit about what I have to say for myself. Right.
Right. Right. And speaking of them watching you, because you're both doing so much greatness in your communities, I want you to tell us what you're doing and why it was important for you to get involved and help others. Let's start with you, man forward.
Oh, a couple things was very crucial for me to get involved is that because I'm in Seattle and I moved from Chicago, I didn't see any black people. That was my first thing. I had to go find black people. And Seattle was probably like 60 something percent white and 30% other and about 5% like black in certain pockets. So I pretty much had to go find black people coming from a space of like being around black people all the time. And I thoroughly enjoyed that process. So I got connected to a couple organizations and that led to a lot of things, which kind of came to a point of me creating a tea house. And so right now, as an entrepreneur, I'm working on a tea house in which people can come have like a no frills experience around tea, where you can get like tea to go, or you can get tea like served to you in a ceremony style, and just sit there, chill, relax, have a cup of tea. But then also the premise is be around Black history or global Black history, like all the books and all the artwork that people like are slept on I want to have a space where all this is accessible to people, where it's not like you say black and there's immediate like fright in somebody's heart. It's like these are what wonderful people are out here doing and creating, and to have the opportunity to share that space with people coming in the future, that's where I reside. So
That's amazing.
I love that. A tea house. Why like how did that come about?
I kind of don't like coffee that much, so and Starbucks already got like the grocery stores, the corner stores. Starbucks is everywhere here in Seattle, and it's just because, yes, it started here, but also that's the way like business works. It's like you have something good, you just scale it all the way up, and they scaled Seattle like out of space with Starbucks. So I wasn't going to be competing with all the cafes and stuff like here. But I looked around and I saw that there were only like two really good tea houses, and then like maybe 7 total like tea shops.
Yeah.
So, and then none of them are black. So I was like, oh, I have all this artwork. I have all these books. Why not just serve tea in a no frills way, in a very like very much black way, where it's like no reservations? Because sometimes there's a thing in tea, kind of like tea snobbery, where you know where all these provinces where teas come from and stuff like that, and this becomes like overwhelming. So
Yeah.
my tea house won't have that. Like if you want to ask a specific family or tea or something like that, we'll tell you, but it's not going to be throwing like info all down your throat. Like if you like the taste of this tea, this is where it came from. This is how much it costs an ounce. If you want a whole cake of it, here you go. If you want to just drink it, go for it. But I don't know. I just want to have a really simple business that doesn't choose to like beat people upside the head with vocabulary and jargon, and like just let them understand what they just reside on the inside instead of trying to get them to a place.
Can I say something?
Go for it. Absolutely.
Okay, because I don't want to forget, but that's so funny. Let me tell you how things work out. So I was at a community event 2 weeks ago, and a lady, she said, because you only help women, I want to donate you all of these tea sets. Because I told her, I give women like journals and stuff like that, so they can write out their feelings and thoughts and just manifest and feel empowered and just those are the kind of events that I do. And she said, I told her that I wanted to have a tea party. She said, somebody, I inherited like some tea sets, like some real tea sets. And she said, you can gift them to the women for your next event. And so around tea, it's not just tea, right? It's like whole hard conversations.
Yeah.
Tea is healing, for one, for our bodies, but also for our minds, just to be able to cultivate those conversations and everything. So you thinking about tea, I'm thinking about tea. She donating the tea. Like, where you at?
Let's go.
Right here.
Giving the tea
And
right
so
now.
we can have some healing spaces around tea, right? Some, some good healthy teas, some other kind. You know the tea business. I don't. I'm just into it for the conversations and for the healing aspect of it, and the fellowship for the women. And perhaps they daughters. Now you got me thinking about what I want to do around this tea.
Yeah, hit me up if you want to know anything about tea or what you want to give them. It's pretty simple.
You got to come to the D. You got to come where I am. Come on, and we can do this.
Mena, it looks like we are going to Seattle for the puppies and the tea house.
And the tea.
And we're going to go to
And the
Detroit
tea.
for the tea party.
Exactly.
You know, what you thinking, Mena?
Let me tell you something. I'm here for once, okay? And what once and real quick, for those people are like, what? What are you saying? Why are you saying 11? So once is literally translates into 11, the number 11. But once in Chile is kind of like a tea time that is held in the middle of the day. So think of like a brunch or like a second breakfast. So you have it with a piece of toast with avocado, and for the most part, you have little like snacks like that, and you have tea. And it's called once. Some people have it in the day, some people have it after dinner. I don't know exactly how that works. I would have to ask my mother, but I grew up with that. And I love that you guys are thinking, are like creating this whole little like culture around it. Cause I'm like, oh, this is cool. Cause let me tell you something. I'm totally a customer. Like I would totally go. Yes, let's just go see it. Cause yeah, I love that. And it gives, like you said, it gives a cool little vibe, and you have that conversation. You get together, like you
have
do
some healing conversations.
Yeah.
While you sitting.
Like when I think about tea, there's also like a softness that's cultivated, because I feel like in a lot of our communities, we've had to be so many things. There's a strength that we've always had to carry. So to be able to create a space where people are allowed to feel soft, they feel comfortable feeling soft. I am so here for that.
I
Yeah.
love it. Yeah. And is there anything you guys in your communities that you would say you guys value, but people outside don't see it? Like an outsider, I've never been to Detroit. Angel, is there something that you think I should view that you find value in that others, especially outsiders, don't necessarily see in your community?
Well, people tell you, oh, you got to see our riverwalk. You got to see our downtown. You got to see our this. And I don't care nothing about that. I don't care nothing about, I would never tell you to come and look at our beautiful sites. Come to the middle of my hood and come and get to know the moms that I do the women's group with at the library. Come and get to know the seniors on my block. Come to the community house and let's exercise or do some Zumba or something. You could come on Tuesday for free.
Yeah.
Like, come to the heart of where the true heart of the people are. I don't care nothing about none of that other stuff because that ain't for us, right? How you build your community and the relationships you have in your community. That's what's beautiful about the D. Like, not none of the other stuff. I would take you around my hood.
Hey, that's what I would piggyback on that too. I've always found myself not comfortable with like touristy stuff about Chicago or even like Seattle. Like I'll see it, but like for me specifically, like Chicago has 77 neighborhoods. I live in one of them, and it's 36,000 people in their neighborhood. There's plenty to do, to know, to see, that I don't have to go downtown to the Mag Mile
Absolutely.
and all that sort of stuff, or go to the lake. Although those things are fun some days, but
Mhm.
yeah,
Mhm.
like when you're an insider somewhere, you do the local things. You don't do like what brings international people to your destination. And even like when I came to Seattle, I came from mountains and like the beach and stuff like that, which is, I don't know, it's kind of like oxymoronic to be on the beach looking at mountains, but that's here. And I was like, whoa, okay. And it's 5 minutes away from my house. So that was kind of like a breath of fresh air to be like, I really came from mountains, but I low key found a beach, and I'm from a place that has a lake and a beach. So all these sort of things kind of like meld together. And then I just said I need to find black people. Like I looked around my like the neighborhood I lived in, and it's like Scandinavian. I was like, I'm not gonna do this. Like I'll go to like the local store and get like some of the like delicacies of like the Scandinavian people. Go to the Scandinavian Museum of
Yeah.
Natural History and stuff, but I got to go find the black people. I just don't. I just
Mhm.
don't. I don't assimilate very well, and that's one really cool thing is I don't seek to assimilate or have people like attached to me and like siphon off
Mhm.
culture. That doesn't make me feel very secure, and that's one. I would say that's one bigger issue that goes into like the United States problem of us progressing, getting past what people are saying to us is like we have this rich amount of soul inside of us that everybody just want to latch onto, and then they tell us in the same vein in their professional voice, "You can't do this. You can't have this. We're not doing this for you. We can't do that." But if you meet me in a public setting where all the professionalism is off, there can be some sort of conversation, and so that's the reason
Mhm.
I don't assimilate too much or like try to go into any lanes that aren't black or people of color specific because this same person would tell me something in a professional setting that they would love about me in a private setting. So,
They
but
probably
Absolutely.
wouldn't even talk to you in a private setting. You know,
yeah,
and they
And
want everything that we are. They want everything that our whole being, our looks, our thoughts,
hmm
our art, our creativity and everything, but they don't want us.
yeah, I mean, I'm so glad you guys are saying a lot of these points, because there's so much value within our neighborhoods. And we know that because they'll say that, oh, okay, well, this is the bad side of town. And then they'll go and gentrify that side of town and try to add quote unquote value to it. Well, the
To
value
it.
was already there. You
Already
just
here.
didn't see it.
hmm
Yep.
You just didn't see the value. And you reminded me, and I may have said this in a previous conversation, but one of my favorite childhood memories is the honey dripper lady. Now I'm from the South, and I don't know if you guys know what a honey dripper lady is, but it was the lady who would put like she would create the frozen cups, and she would put like
You
Kool
mean the
Aid or like
Kool-Aid lady?
lemonade, and then
yeah,
you
icy
and
cup
then you
lady.
pop it open on the other side. Throw the pickles and the Laffy Taffies, and like everybody went to her in the neighborhood instead of the corner store. It was either her or the corner store, but more than likely it was her. And that sense of community, that value, like being able to go outside and play. Back then it was when the street lights came on. That's when you went back inside. But some of my best memories is legit from the neighborhood, and I'm with you. Like people talk talk about going downtown, I can count on one hand how many times I probably went downtown in my whole like life, my whole childhood, because we see the value. It's the others that don't see the value in our neighborhoods. So with that being said, we're talking about value, we're talking about strengths. Who or what have you seen in your community that is making an impact that you want to give flowers to? Let's talk about it. Let's start with you, Angel.
The little grassroots community efforts, right? Like I said, my block club, it's small community, of 10 people, and they decide they want a little coalition, and they've been doing it for 30 plus years. And I'm telling you, those are the people getting out, taking food to the seniors, and are in their houses wrapping up Christmas gifts or whatever. Those are people who inspire me. You don't have to be a big 501c3. Yeah, you doing the work, but is the work you doing like really for the people, right? You're doing it to fulfill a grant because you said you would and you need that funded. But the little small little coalitions and community efforts, we know that's from the heart. We know that she done made this food in her kitchen, and that take love. She wrapping up them gifts. um just the people who are doing it with their heart and their soul, and it's strictly for the love of their people. That's it.
Because it's genuine, it's real. You can
And
feel
you
it.
know it, and you can feel it.
Yeah, it's
It's
authentic.
palpable.
Yeah,
Palpable.
yeah. How about you, man forward? Who you giving
uh,
flowers to?
I'm giving flowers to Africa Town. So in Seattle, the community banded together to combat gentrification, and the first thing they did was bought land. So if nobody knows what the prices of Seattle like housing is like one of the top five markets of like most expensive places to live. Like houses here are always above $750,000. Vacant lots are even like $500,000 or above. So land is very much a commodity here. And what Africa Town did, they became a land trust, bought up all the vacant lots as a cohort of people, and then they start doing things on these lots. So they have one program that I'm in called Black Dot Mastermind, and that's where all the entrepreneurs get together and talk and like, just share, network, and everything like that. But it happens every week, and Black Dot Mastermind is a spinoff of Africa Town Land Trust of literally buying up land, buying up buildings that they knew would be valuable in the future for young black entrepreneurs like myself that come along, can be a transplant, go looking for black people and look at what the black people have done. They bought up the lots, they bought up the houses, they bought up all these spaces in which now they're developing into like multi-million-dollar projects, brand new like storefronts on the bottom of 77 new like affordable housing units. So I give my flowers to Black Dot and Africa Town because coming here, it's amazing to see people work like this to combat gentrification
Mhm.
and being the highest rung of like everything is $1 million. What are you doing for $1 million is like the idea around here. Like it's not like, oh, I got $300,000 or $30,000 to do something. No,
Mhm.
you're working with millions of dollars and they're like efficient at it. Like they're on their, I'm gonna say like their fourth development in like even like a 2 block radius of like where black people used to be, and they have like 3 of the 5 like big corners like fulfilled with like what their wishes are. So Africa Town, Black Dot.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So just to wrap us up, we like to play a little game called Free Game, right? So basically, this is your chance to tell your politician and organization what they're doing wrong or what they're doing right. But mainly, what kind of changes would you like to see them make? And this could be general to someone specific. Angel, what would you say to an organization, a politician, or someone in your community that you would like to see them either change or fix?
Themselves out of the position. Voluntarily saying, um, that I am not the person for this. The people who actually are living this experience should be in my position. I am going to kindly step down and allow the people to have to live by these decisions to make their own decisions for what's best for their communities and for their families. That's what I'm going to do. So that's what I want to see them do.
I love that, Angel. That's real. That's so real.
She said, "Go ahead
That's,
and step down."
Put
yeah,
the power back where the power belongs, right? In the hands
yeah.
of the people. That's
Mm.
it. So they could step down. That's what I want.
Facts. Um, I would say to my politicians, one, of course, stop capping. Like we already know, like everything is corporate funding and all that sort of stuff, and people have gotten kickbacks. And ever since like 2010 and Citizens United, the game is like apparent when we're playing. So
Mhm.
politicians can just stop it and be truthful about like, are you going to adhere to what constituents want, or are you going to go in the back office and do this? Because your track record has proven that whatever back end deals you're doing, that's what's happening. And the people who sit at your office and want the things for you or like write you and stuff like that, that's very minimal. So stop stop all the capping. Please come forward and like Andrew say, resign. Like there's no other way to there's no other way about it. And it's not to just like get somebody else in there that's going to do the same thing. It's to get the real people in there who like can really affect change in a really good way or disperse money to people who need it or what it's for. And I'm only saying that because it kind of ties into like my LLC point and Angel's like imagination point is like
Mhm.
you get to all these spaces where you have vacant lots or you have people being inactive, but these people have an imagination. They have things that they want, and it having a great politician in office to say, "Hey, these funds are siphoning this way. Let's turn that spigot off and turn it this way and do this," and then the people's imaginations manifest, and then you have prosperity, and then you have a community that supports itself, not just people voicing their opinions all the time, and that's the drudging part of a politician's job. No,
Mhm.
really listen to the public and figure out like how to put money in the right direction and make what people imagine real and manifest, and you'll see how much peace we have. So
Mhm.
Not even just money. I feel like policies. At least if you're not going to step aside, I feel like like at the very least, listen to the people who know best about what it is that they need, what can help their families and help their communities, right? Let us be your advisors. Let us teach you, right? And then it'll be beneficial for all. Um and until those their thought processes change, that's the thing. You have to change people's thinking, change people's
Mhm.
perception,
Right.
um, about what they think we know, about what they think we don't know or can't do. Like, allow us to teach you, allow us to show you the way, and how to help us, and be a part of that. Be a bridge in the community. Be a
Mhm.
bridge.
Mhm.
Um, yeah.
Now that's what I call free game, Mena. That's
I
that is
mean,
how you close out a show.
straight champs, right?
Straight, listen here. We have had two of the most phenomenal guests. We appreciate all the free game you guys have distributed this entire episode. Also, what we need our listeners to do is take this information that has been given to you and share it with someone else because the goal is to what? Move up together.
Together.
Thank you guys all so much for joining us, and thank you at home for listening.
Thank you. I want a puppy, man.
Okay.
A puppy.
We're gonna go
I'm
back
into
to
adoption. I want a puppy.